So what kind of backward strategy is it when you leave the most dangerous and the most restless part of your society and you don't put them into productive work?
Zweletu Zonda is a natural salesman. He gets by selling goods from the back of his friend's vehicle.
Becomes a problem now of survival to say, now if I don't do this, what am I going to do, And then that's when the crime mindset starts coming in. That's when the negative things starts coming in. So we need to always try and keep your mind in a positive state,
And you take the least productive part of your society and you give them so many incentives and so much free money that they have nothing to do but be less productive. That's what South Africa is doing. They're taking men of working age and making sure that they have nothing to do, no job prospects to go into or to speak of, and leave them wandering the streets at 10 a.m., which is of course a recipe for a good country, isn't it? Will they not make more babies? Will they not start committing crime?
24-year-old Katliso Malebo obtained a diploma in electrical engineering at the Central University of Technology in Bloemfontein, Free State. Despite having the qualification, Katliso has not been able to get a job for the past year and a half. The young engineer says he cannot even get an internship. He says politicians should concentrate on creating opportunities and economic growth and less talk.
It's kind of depressing sometimes. At times you feel bad and you don't feel like you have a purpose. So
when some of the men who are in their 30s now have never worked since they've left school, there are less jobs than people leaving school being created. This is structural unemployment.
Remember these cues. These were some of the scenes we saw on Youth Day this year when thousands of young people turned up to apply for jobs in Gauteng. They were responding to the Jobs Fair campaign launched by the province for 8,000 available positions. To date, an overwhelming 1.2 million people applied, and Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi says this is the true face of unemployment.
Where you have a long-term chronic problem of unemployment of a large share of your population, and many of them do not have the skills to get the sort of work that is available. There's a skills mismatch where many South Africans have low to medium levels of skill and the jobs that are available are for high-skilled people. Then you add the illegals onto there. What kind of strategy is that for building a society?
That for the 8,000 posts that we've advertised, we've received 1,230,092 applications. Of the 8,000 posts that we've advertised, we've received 1,230,092 applications.
Add to that the least productive people in your society, which are usually the women and the children, you give free money to, and you say, go ahead, be a grant diva, living off the social grant, and bring up your children on under 500 Rand a month. This is what has happened in South Africa over the last 30 years, and we've pushed out the most productive people, the working age man. If a man is wandering the streets, trying to find something to do, trying to find a way to earn money at 10 a.m. in the morning, you are not building a society. You have a chronic unemployment problem.
Lesufi says placing the 8,000 people into the various jobs will not be based on anything else apart from skill. The application process ends this weekend and will be followed by rigorous interviews to determine those best suited for the positions. Those who aren't successful this time around will sadly be over 1 million. Need not despair. The Premier says the province will soon open up thousands more jobs.
And the citizens don't get away with this either. If you are a 10 a.m. man walking the streets of your dusty township without a job, without food, and without money in your pocket, and you're relying on a social grant to feed your child born out of wedlock, you've also made mistakes. And then you still vote ANC. We have a new course available for our boys. It's for boys between the ages of 10 and 18. It's called the Men of the Bible course. Manhood, masculinity, and becoming a man. We take the boys through 12 stories of men from the Bible, pulling out negative lessons, positive lessons, and then one major lesson. We round off each lesson with notable points on doctrine and theology. We need our young men to become men. Subscribe to the channel or Cyril Ramaphosa will be president forever.
The overwhelming response from young people to the Gauteng Jobs Fair last month underlines the unemployment crisis facing South Africa. The country's official unemployment rate sits at 32.9%, but is much higher among the youth at a whopping 70%. Over 1.2 million people applied for the 8,000 jobs advertised by the Gauteng province on June 16th.
And when you're standing in that line, and as a working age man without work, with a grant diva for the mother of your child, and a child growing up on the government teat on social grants, you should ask yourself why you believe the ANC and keep voting for them. Why you let them bring illegals into your country? Why are you letting people like Julius Malema give you the white monopoly capital treatment and give you that as an excuse while they take money from white monopoly to fund their little organizations?
Uzoithola kanjani uhlele khoneni? A popular phrase among young South Africans, loosely translated as how will you get what you want by sitting on a street corner. Thousands of young people have taken this to heart as they navigate the ever-changing economic hardships.
Men, instead of being productive, waiting on government and social grants, having been raised by women who were living off social grants. That is not a society. The South African government for the last 30 years has been investing the money in the wrong place. It's been investing the money in the least productive people, which is the women, specifically single mothers and old grannies, to raise bad children. This is a very bad place to invest it. Where South Africa should take the turn now is invest its money not in the least productive people, but in the same people that have always moved society forward. The people who are the most productive in any society all the time, at all times, no matter where you are. And that is the working age men. They move the society forward. They are the natural leaders of life. And they are very dangerous and very restless when they do not have work. Let them put their energies into work and let us invest in them and not in our women that much. Because when you invest in the men, who do you think the biggest beneficiary is? The people who are the biggest consumers, which is the women.
Kwena Rapia completed his studies at the University of the Free State in 2014. 2 years later, he's still struggling to find a job. Kwena has a postgraduate degree in soil sciences.
I just wake up a day. I just go to an internet cafe and then just Google search environmental companies around South Africa, and then I just submit my CV. Even though there's nothing, but then I just submit my CV. This is who I am, I have this degrees, I have this experience, I like to work for your company, and then no one says anything. And then
if men do not have jobs, you have less of them getting married and building families. Not good for society, which leads to single mothers raised on the government, raising bad kids that are bound for prison. We need to invest our money in the right place. We cannot continue with a chronic long-term structural unemployment. The conclusion is very simple. A government that is serious about rebuilding South African society would turn its lens away from the women and away from social grants and turn onto investing into the young men through, of course, education and a nationwide skills and training program. If you're going to spend your money in some sort of a grant, that's where it should go. And it should prioritize men. Every right is married to a duty. Every freedom owes a corresponding responsibility, and there cannot be genuine freedom unless there exists also genuine order in the moral realm and in the social realm. Russell Kirk. To turn South Africa around, I recommend we turn our investment strategy in our society towards men and young men in particular. And the first way you do that is you end social grants and you bring in a nationwide skills and training development plan. That's what the grant should be. The case is closed. You cannot build a society by not creating jobs, alienating your young men, bringing in actually legal aliens, and then putting all your money into social grant divas and their badly raised kids. Don't be ridiculous. We now have a course on Teachable. It's for boys between the ages of 10 and 18, about 12 men from the Bible, where we teach about manhood, masculinity, and becoming a man. Check it out. Thank you for listening. If you dare, buy us a coffee. The link is in the description.